A young lady named Joanne was waiting on a 4 hours delayed train from Manchester to London King's Cross. She was working for Amnesty International in London and used to take long train journeys to visit her boyfriend in Manchester. As she had plenty of time to think and imagine, she envisioned a scrawny, black-haired, bespectacled boy named Harry Potter, who was orphaned and had to live with his cruel aunt and uncle. From there, she began to develop the idea of a magical world and the story of Harry's journey to discover his true identity as a wizard and defeat the Dark Wizard, Lord Voldemort. Having no pen or paper allowed her to fully explore the characters and their story in her imagination before she reached her flat and began to write. Joanne Rowling, better known as J.K. Rowling, is a British author, philanthropist, film producer, television producer, and screenwriter. She is best known for writing the Harry Potter series of fantasy novels, which have become one of the best-selling book series in history and have been adapted into a successful film franchise. Rowling was born on July 31, 1965, in Yate, England. Her father, Peter James Rowling, was an aircraft engineer at the Rolls-Royce factory in Bristol, and her mother, Anne, was a science technician in the chemistry department at Wydene Comprehensive. From 1983 to 1987, she attended Exeter University and graduated with a degree in French and classics. After graduation, she worked for Amnesty International in London. Around mid-1990, the idea of Harry Potter came to her mind while waiting on a delayed train from Manchester to London King's Cross and began to write what would become the most acclaimed children's book of all time. In November 1990, she finally moved to Manchester with her boyfriend, where she took up a job for Manchester Chamber of Commerce. Whenever she found time, she would spend time in writing the novel. But soon enough, her life was going to get difficult. She suffered a setback when her mother died of multiple sclerosis on the 30th of December 1990. She had never told her mother about writing Harry Potter. Her mother's death heavily affected her writing. She was very close to her mother, and this filled her with depression, confusion, and regret for not having shared Harry Potter with her mother. Her relationship with her boyfriend also ended, which sent her into a state of fight or flight. Then, an advertisement in The Guardian led her to move to Porto, Portugal, in November 1991 to teach night classes in English as a foreign language, writing during the day. During this time, in April 1992, she met Jorge Arantes, a Portuguese journalist. They got married on the 16th of October 1992, and had a daughter, Jessica Isabel Rowling Arantes, who was born on the 27th of July 1993 in Portugal. Her relationship with Arantes was troubled from the beginning, and soon Rowling had to go through domestic abuse during her marriage. Rowling and Arantes separated on the 17th of November 1993, after Arantes threw her out of the house. Rowling moved to Edinburgh, Scotland with her daughter. She sought government assistance and got £69 per week from Social Security and started living with her daughter. 7 years after graduating from university, she saw herself as a failure. Her marriage had failed, and she was jobless with a dependent child. But she kept going for her daughter. Her marriage to Arantes caused her severe depression. With 9 months of therapy, her mental health gradually improved. She filed for divorce on the 10th of August 1994, and the divorce was finalized on the 26th of June 1995. In the midst of everything going on with her life, Rowling continued writing and completed the first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, in June 1995. Although she completed her first book, her problems continued. Rowling needed a publisher. She made numerous attempts to get her book published, but her book was rejected. She didn't give up and continued to submit her book, as she believed in the story she wrote and that people would read, despite what publishers were telling her. Her manuscript was submitted to 12 publishers, all of them rejected it. It took her 13 tries for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone to gain acceptance from a publisher. The book was finally published by Bloomsbury Children's Books in June 1997, under the name J.K. Rowling. The K stands for Kathleen, her paternal grandmother's name. It was added at her publisher's request, who thought a book by a female author might not appeal to the target audience of young boys. Overnight, Rowling was catapulted from her small apartment in Edinburgh to worldwide recognition. The book was published in the US by Scholastic under a different title, at the publisher's request, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, in 1998. Sorcerer's Stone became a New York Times bestseller by December. The next 3 books in the series were released in quick succession between 1998 and 2000, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, 1998, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, 1999, and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, 2000, each selling millions of copies. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was published in June 2003, selling millions of copies on the first day. 2 years later, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was released in July, again selling millions of copies on the first day. The series ended with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, published in July 2007. In 2001, the film adaptation of the first book was released by Warner Bros. Studios, which starred Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson, and was followed by 6 more book adaptations, concluding with the release of the 8th film, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, in 2011. The movies are now considered some of the top-grossing films of all time. Rowling has won numerous awards for her writing, including multiple Hugo, Bram Stoker, and Locus Awards, and she is the recipient of several honorary degrees. She has been honored with the Order of the British Empire and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She was also listed as the most influential woman in Britain by leading magazine editors and a member of the Time 100 Inches list of the most influential people in the world in 2007, 2010 and 2018. She was named the world's highest-paid author by Forbes in 2008, 2017 and 2019. Her UK sales total in excess of £238 million, making her the best-selling living author in Britain. The 2021 Sunday Times Rich List estimated Rowling's fortune at £820 million, ranking her as the 196th richest person in the UK. As of 2020, she also owns a £4.5 million Georgian house in Kensington and a £2 million home in Edinburgh. J.K. Rowling has been married to Dr. Neil Murray since 2001. They live in Edinburgh with their son, David, born 2003, and daughter, Mackenzie, born 2005. In addition to her writing career, Rowling is also known for her philanthropy. She has donated millions of dollars to various charitable causes, including multiple sclerosis research, children's hospitals, and organizations that support single parents and children living in poverty. She has also been a vocal advocate for various social and political issues, including marriage equality and refugees' rights. Rowling faced many struggles throughout her life, particularly during the period when she was writing the Harry Potter series. She lost her mother, was divorced, living on welfare and struggling to raise her daughter as a single mother. Despite these difficulties, she persevered and completed the series, which went on to become a literary phenomenon. Here are some of her most inspirational quotes, which reflects her struggles and her strong willpower to overcome and rise above them, through her most beloved character, Harry Potter. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. Things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end, if not always in the way we expect. Understanding is the first step to acceptance, and only with acceptance can there be recovery. Youth cannot know how age thinks and feels, but old men are guilty if they forget what it was to be young. Happiness can be found, even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Don't let the muggles get you down. I'm going to keep going until I succeed, or die. Don't think, I don't know how this might end. I've known it for years. I don't believe in the kind of magic in my books, but I do believe something very magical can happen when you read a good book. We do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. You sort of start thinking anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. The only thing to do with good advice is pass it on. It is never any use to oneself. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case, you fail by default. What's coming will come, and we'll just have to meet it when it does. Failure means a stripping away of the inessential. It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities.